Hello, 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 and welcome. I am so glad to have you here. Have you considered the fact that all of these overwhelming feelings, sometimes just feeling lonely, feeling like nothing's ever going your way, could be something else? Well, mental health is mental health issues are growing across the United States and the world, especially after dealing with the pandemic for as long as we have. There have been many people that have found challenges in getting through the pandemic and just life in general, from the aftermath of job loss, financial insecurities, isolation and loneliness. And us as women entrepreneurs, we already feel like we have to take on the world. And then to have to, then not realizing or not acknowledging certain things and patterns in our lives can present itself as a problem. So today, we're going to talk about it. So today is, well, in the month of September, I am celebrating my birthday. And so to celebrate, I wanted to focus on self-love and pampering myself and taking care of myself. And so the theme for these sessions coming up for the month of September are all about self-love. And today's theme is self-love in Self-Love September is mental health for mom entrepreneurs. All right. My name is Rashida Green. I am the founder and CEO of Mompreneur HQ, and I am here. And I'm glad you're here. And we're doing this live today with a guest, and I'll be sure to introduce you in just a moment. But in the Mompreneur HQ community, we want to help moms start, grow, and scale home-based virtual businesses so that they can build the life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. And so I'm glad you're here and want you to just go ahead and put hashtag live if you're watching it live and hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And without further delay, I am going to introduce you to this young lady, Miss Lakeisha Conyers of Lakeisha Fro Wellness, and she is going to be our special guest today. She has credentials that will make her very suitable for our discussion. And so without further ado, welcome, Miss Lakeisha Conyers.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, Lakeisha, I see here that you are a native of New Jersey, but you were born in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
About how old were you when you moved to Jersey?
I would say I was about maybe 1.5, 2 years old when we came here.
Oh, okay, so for the most part of your life, you've been in New Jersey, where we, of course, met.
Yes.
And I know that you are married and have children. And can you tell us a little bit more about your family?
So, as you said, I am married, coming up on 23 years of marriage.
Ooh.
I have 2 daughters and I have 1 son. And I'm also the proud grandmother of 3 grandchildren.
Grandmother.
Yes.
3.
Yes, 3.
Well, congratulations. You don't look a day over 18, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let me tell people a little bit more about you. So, Miss Lakeisha Conyers, as we just discussed, is born in New Jersey, born in South Greenville, South Carolina, but lived most of her life in New Jersey. She holds a master's degree in counseling with a focus on clinical mental health, and she also has a bachelor's degree in psychology from the New Jersey City University, where she works as an academic advisor.
Yes.
And in her spare time, she operates her wellness home-based business, Lakeisha Fro Wellness. Um, and her main goal, her overall mission, is to raise awareness for mental health in impoverished communities while breaking the stigma of mental illness.
Mhm.
All right. One other question before we get into the mental health discussion. You are a mom and a career girl. So how did Lakeisha Fro Wellness come to be?
Wow. So I would say it came about when I was in graduate school. And my first week of class, I started classes actually September 6, 2015. I started the master's program. And 2 days before classes started, I lost my grandmother. And I realized at that point when I went, my first class was group process. Had no idea what was to expect in that class. But one thing my professor said to me that if you're going to be an effective counselor, you have to deal with your own stuff. And so I said, wow, on top of grieving, I realized at that moment that's what I needed. And during that time, growing up, I've never heard much about never heard anything about mental health. And I said to myself, how many women are not being afforded the opportunity to learn how to mentally take care of themselves? So that's what inspired me to be able to want to go out into the community, raise more awareness about it, and then make it a business.
Okay. Well, congratulations on starting your road to entrepreneurship. And when you started this business, it started just simply from this teacher or professor posing that question into you, and then you seeing that that others had the same need. So in developing your fro wellness and reaching different people, what is some of let's now talk about what are some of those things, those stigmas that people were dealing with that you felt you needed to address with your business?
So one thing I would say, coming from a Black community, we were taught, for one, what happens in this house stays in this house.
Mm-hmm.
If we have an issue, we deal with it inside, but sometimes the people on the inside are the perpetrators. So you can't process with them. And so meanwhile, while that's being told and you're being taught that, sometimes women are hurting on the inside. We are deteriorating because we don't know how to deal with these issues. Secondly, I would say in our community, we go to church, and I will say that I am a believer, and we're taught to pray about it. And it's okay. Prayer, I would say for me, is my number one go-to. But I also believe that God put people in our lives to help us, just as if we have physicians, we have cardiologists, we have dentists, we have oncologists. We have all these people to help us. So why not take that same approach when it comes to our mental health? Why not say, I'm going to be proactive and talk to a mental health specialist or a licensed professional to help me process my mental, because my mental is just as important as my physical.
Absolutely. That is so true. And I can definitely vouch about that old pastime phrase of what happens in the house stays in the house. What goes on in the house stays in the house. You better not tell my business outside these doors. And it's not necessarily about telling anybody's business, but like you said, sometimes you need to be able to process that. And the people in the house are not qualified to help you process that stuff. And then some of the cultural differences in upbringings doesn't permit them to even be open to or receptive to getting outside help. And so that's definitely very critical. And what would you say in terms of seeking outside help? What are some signs that one might be able to figure out for themselves? Oh, this not good. I might need to see somebody. What are some signs that someone can do a self-evaluation and realize that they need to, seek help?
So that's a couple of ways, a couple of things we can look for within ourselves as we reflect to make that determination if we need to seek outside help. One thing you can begin to is evaluate your habits. Are you doing too much of anything that could be self-sabotaging? Do you find yourself isolating yourself away from people and things that you enjoy? So if you know that you are a person, you are very sociable, and you find yourself not wanting to do those things anymore, you have lost your interest. And this has been happening consecutively for, over a 2-week time period. you may want to sit back and ask yourself, am I okay? And have that honest conversation with yourself. And if you find yourself overindulging, like eating too much, eating not enough, not sleeping well at night, finding it hard to go to sleep, your thoughts are racing, you find it hard to relax. These are some of the things that you want to take a close look at and maybe bring them up with your doctor. It's okay to start that discussion with your primary care physician, and your primary care physician should be able to triage that to a licensed professional and be able to offer that referral. But those are the things that you want to look for. If you especially lose an interest in the things that you enjoy, if you find yourself isolating, not wanting to be bothered, and doing overindulging or underindulging in things that you normally wouldn't do. Because the thing is that if you have something that's going on, it's going to come out. It's going to come out, and because it has to, but it may manifest in ways that you wouldn't want it to.
Right. That's the thing. Self-destructive behaviors and things like that. And sometimes I think also the defense mechanisms can be up. Like the people around you sometimes know you better than you know yourself in a way, and they may say something like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And then our defense wall goes up. It's like, "Yeah, what's the problem? Why? What you think is wrong with me?"
Yes.
And then we, want to kick them to the curb because they just brought something to your attention that you don't want to face. So that's really tough. And thank you though for sharing those signs, those simple signs to recognize for yourself when things aren't going the way that they normally would, or in the positive direction. How you can identify ways to identify when it might be a time for you to go and get some help. And I like what you said too about going to your regular physician, and just asking the questions, because sometimes the conversation just needs to be had at that level, and then they can tell you something, and they might even be able to provide you some free resources that will help you out of your situation. But like you said, the next step, getting that referral to be able to speak to someone who's equipped to answer your questions and just be a listening ear, especially in times of crisis, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are some hereditary mental health disorders, but what can we do to minimize, manage, or prevent ourselves from developing mental health illnesses?
So as you said, some things are genetic. We just can't get away from the genetics. But some things that we can do is it requires us to begin to know ourselves and begin to develop a relationship with ourselves. And it requires for us to slow down and listen to our body in order to be in tune with what's really happening with us. So I would say that one way that we can is to minimize, that the mental illnesses from manifesting so much in us. Maybe we can begin to recognize that maybe Aunt Jenny has something going on, and not to put ourselves on high alert, but just to be aware of that and begin to self-reflect and see, are we exhibiting some of those same behaviors? Is it something in us that, we can kind of do different? And two, sometimes people don't realize how much food is connected to our mood and things that we experience and go through. So if we eat in a crappy diet, and if we're not getting enough sleep, and if we're not taking the time to prioritize ourselves, sometimes these things can manifest as a mental illness. But your body just simply saying, I need more water. I need more sleep. I need more vitamins. I have a vitamin deficiency. I need to, recognize, what am I eating? Because, for example, if we go out and eat a carb-heavy meal, full of potatoes and all of that, those good carbohydrates that we like now, We recognize like maybe 15, 30 minutes after we ate, oh, girl, I'm tired, or we feel a sense of sadness, a sense of heaviness, a sense of tiredness, and we can mistake that for something going on in us, as far as a mental illness, but it could be something just as simple as cleaning up your diet. Because I don't know about anybody else, when I eat right, my mood is better. But just imagine a person who eat not so healthy meals on a daily basis. Your mood is being affected. And so that's one good way is to clean up your diet, clean up your sleep hygiene, and make yourself a priority. And then that can kind of gauge those feelings, those mental health things those mental illness things that can come upon us. But I wanted to backtrack on what you said about the physician. So now that mental health is such a big thing now, when we go to the doctors and we do the blood pressure and we do the temperature, they should be asking us these screening questions called the PHQ-9. They should be asking us these questions. Have you been sad in a two-week period of time consecutively? How have you been feeling? These questions you want to look for when you go to your physician, because those are the questions to determine if you should further see someone who is a mental health specialist.
Okay, so is that PHQ-9 something they added due to the pandemic?
This was actually pre-pandemic. And I was purposely going to the doctor just to see if they was asking those questions. And they did.
Of course you did. Of course you did. And did they ask the question?
Yes, they did. They asked me, I think it's about maybe 4 questions they ask you to help gauge if they need to send you to a specialist, or they will ask you, do you want to talk to someone?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to think. It's Self-Love September, so I'm going to be doing a lot of doctor visiting. And so to make sure I get caught up on everything. So I will be checking to see if they ask these questions.
Yes. Remind them if they don't.
Good to know. Good to know. And if they don't ask the questions, should we say to our physician, is there something you should be asking?
Yes. And say PHQ-9.
Okay. PHQ-9. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I was definitely looking for tips on how women entrepreneurs can incorporate good mental health habits into our daily lives. So, so you said just, self-examination, checking your food, not checking your food, but monitoring what you're eating.
Yes.
and listening to your body. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that as far as good mental health habits to incorporate daily?
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 more. The second one is, ladies, take your break. Take your break. Okay? If you work for a company, there is, me personally, I believe that there is no badge of honor that you get for not taking a break. Your body needs it. Do not sit at your computer for 8 hours and only get up for a bathroom break. If you can, go outside, take a walk, go talk to another coworker or find someone to talk to, have good conversation. But I will encourage you, strongly encourage you, take your break. Stop and pause and take your break. The second thing is, do not overwork yourself. I don't believe that there is, again, we don't get a badge of honor for not slowing down for a minute and taking care of ourselves. Check in with yourself, see what you need, go get you a bottle of water, take a walk, but please take a moment to pause. The work will get done.
It will. And I think in a post or in a live that you did on your own site, you had mentioned that, if anything happens to you today or tomorrow, they'll be posting for your position before you even get in the grade. Yes. So, you don't have to take yourself out trying to do all this work and get everything done and not take your breaks, because at the end of the day, you are expendable,
Yes, and
right?
you are your product. So if you're not well, how are you going to continue to produce your product?
Hmm.
So I believe working from home is going to require more time management, because when you're at work, you have a boss, or you have a schedule that you try to follow. But when you're working from home and working as an entrepreneur, you feel like this is your product. We tend to take that for granted and think that we're home. I don't need to get up and stretch. I don't need to go for a walk. I don't need to stop working because this is mine. I'm home. But no, still try to stay as close as possible to a schedule.
All right. Thank you for that. That's good stuff. Now, as women, I mean,
Mhm.
this is all about women entrepreneurs, and oftentimes we are the caregivers and the providers to those in need. So, how can we support our friends and families who are dealing with mental health challenges?
We can support them by allowing ourselves to be a listening ear, but also, again, check in with yourself to see if you are available emotionally for that person, because that's important. We cannot go into any situation with needing our cup full, because we can't pour from an empty cup.
That's
We'll
right.
be of no service to anyone if we are not doing what we need to do to adequately take care of ourselves. If we realize a friend is going through something that is beyond our reach, it is okay to offer other resources, because there are a lot of resources out there that can help individuals who are facing certain challenges. And even if it's as simply as telling our friends, I think you need to talk to someone that's more professional, or someone who is more emotionally available for you, it is totally okay to do that. But being able to provide a listening ear, I think that is a great idea, but we have to make sure that we are in a position emotionally and physically to do that.
Well, thank you for saying that there, because a lot of time as women, we feel like we could just, take on the world. And if my friend has a problem, I'm gonna help her out and I'm gonna, do what I can do. And if I can be a listening ear, if I can support you, I'm gonna be there for you, right? But
Hmm.
then I have experienced where it has been a heavy load, a burden to bear when you have someone come to you with such a heavy weight, that they're going, they're talking about, suicidal thoughts, or um, not wanting to live, and or just in this relationship where they're, it's just this not, it's not healthy, it's physical abuse, and you're trying to be a listening ear, but at the same time it becomes so heavy because don't you can't carry the weight of that issue,
Hmm.
either because of your own past experiences or what you've dealt with in the past, whether it be similar or a family member, or just pure too much for you to carry. And so you try to take on things and wind up drowning too, right? It's like being on the airplane and they drop the oxygen mask and you're trying to put the oxygen mask on your friend. Meanwhile, you ain't getting the air you need either.
Hmm.
So, I really appreciate the fact that you put that in there, and you kind of gave an allowance or gave us permission to be able to not be able to handle everything,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So that's good. Um, I think that is my last question for you. But before we go, I have a little game called, or a question game that I like to call Mama's Jam. Like, what's Mama's Jam? And that's pretty much, what does Mama like? What does Mama love? When you hear that song and you be like, oh, that's my jam, right? So that's what I want to kind of do here. And it's just going to be three quick questions. And I just want to know, what's your jam? Right? So, coffee or tea,
Coffee.
beach or safari,
Beach.
flight or cruise.
Flight.
You want to be able to get somewhere fast,
Yes,
right?
now.
Well, I hear that. If you were with us today, you have listened to our Self-Love September Mental Health for Mompreneurs with our special guest, Lakeisha Conyers of Lakeisha Fro Wellness. And she was delightful. I am so glad that you were here with us today.
Mhm.
And I hope that anyone who is watching this has gotten some important information, useful information, something that they can hold on to for themselves, because this was about you too,
Mhm.
right? Being able to identify what you needed as far as help, and those habits that you can institute to keep you straight and narrow. And then what you can do to help others who you may witness as having difficulty and having mental health challenges. So those were some very poignant points. Please, if you have any comments or any questions that you would like to put in the comment field, we can address them for you after the show. Feel free to put those in the comments. If you have any particular questions, I believe that we can reach back out to Miss Lakeisha to
Yes.
be able to get some assistance with those questions so that you get your questions answered. And by all means, if you enjoyed this show and you thought it was helpful for you, please share, like and share this Facebook Live with your friends and community who could use a little information about women, mompreneurs, and mental health. All right. To just let you know that we will be going for the whole month of September. We will be dealing with other topics about self-love. So we will be broadening on the discussion that Miss Lakeisha brought up earlier about nutrition. So nutritional health. We'll also going to talk about healthy self-image and just self-love. We're going to close out for the end of the month. So do stay tuned. Make sure that you turn on your notifications so that you'll have access to the next time we go live. And we did put it on on the event page. So make sure you join or say yes to the event page so that you can be notified when we go live. And I'm so grateful again, Miss Lakeisha. I thank you so much for being my
Welcome.
first live Facebook Live guest, because I usually do this show solo. But for my birthday month, I wanted to have some friends. So thank you so much for saying yes to this live and joining our community at the Mompreneur HQ on Facebook. And if you are interested in learning more or getting coaching on your business, feel free to reach out to me at www.themompreneur.hq.com/clarity-call. It's a 20-minute call where we get to discuss your business, what you need help with, and whether or not we're a good fit to work together going forward. So definitely check us out. And Lakeisha, do you have any last words or final words of encouragement?
So I would say to you ladies, all of you out there who are looking or are mompreneurs looking to start your business, all of that is so wonderful. But I am here to encourage you, to let you know that it can be done. But please do not make yourself a sacrifice in terms of losing touch with who you are. Know that you need to have those moments, those days to just reflect and take it all in and be able to take it down and be able to give your body, your spirit, what it needs in order to continue to thrive in this business, because you are your product. Okay. And remember that no is a full sentence. So please don't overcommit yourself to anything, but know that it is okay to say no to things that does not fit in your schedule and that will make you compromise on taking care of you.
Well, all right. That sounds like a wrap up to me. Thank you so much again for joining us. And until next time.